Recording is on.
Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to make this pretty quick, hopefully about 15 minutes. I'm really just going to do kind of an overview. I really designed this for someone that really has never used Outlook before, because occasionally we will have people that this is a new program for them. So I'll kind of run through the basics. And then if there's something on top of the basics that you want to know about that part of the program, just stop me at that point and I'll be happy to answer. All right. So here we go. Get everybody oriented first. Make sure I see, but can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to have this PowerPoint here, and then I also have Windows with Outlook open right here. So I primarily work off of a Mac, but I went with this Windows right here so that it should look roughly how yours looks as well. It is defaulting to a dark view now. So most people probably see the dark view, but you may still see the light view. But the buttons are all the same, whether they're dark or light. All right. So we'll start out here. Here's me about when I was getting my first truck. I realized that I've actually been using Outlook longer than I've been driving. So I think that probably makes me an Outlook expert. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about generally how to navigate. Let me move this a little bit. Anyway, generally how to navigate Outlook. We're going to focus on email and calendar. I'm going to go over contacts, tasks, and notes a little bit, but most people don't use those, so we won't talk about it too much. I get a lot of questions about what to do with emails that you think are spam or phishing, so we're going to go over that. I also get a lot of questions about how do I set up my email signature, so we're going to go over that. Same with vacation and away messages. And then there's a million different ways to create rules in Outlook, to forward things, delete things, all that. I'm going to show you a quick and easy way of doing one as a jumping off point to creating all sorts of different kinds of rules. Okay, so to start out with, email tab. We'll make this smaller so you can primarily see Outlook. Okay, up here at the top, this is what is called the ribbon by Microsoft. Usually in all the programs, this top set of menu buttons is called the ribbon. One issue that will occasionally happen is this program, as you resize it, will try to fit whatever you give it, as you can see. Occasionally, what it will do is it will minimize this, and it will look like that. And it gives people a lot of issues and confusion. So when this happens, whenever you have a minimized ribbon, all you have to do is look for the down arrow and press that.
Did you?
Am I the only one seeing nothing right now?
Yeah, we lost Rick.
Over.
Is he at the office?
Looks like he's at home.
Somebody slack him.
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry, guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
I went to go mute somebody, and I guess that mutes the presenter as well. So I apologize. Okay, so let me back up real quick here. Ribbon.
Will you share your screen again, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It totally jacked everything. There we go. Okay, should be able to hear me and see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that, guys. Okay, so this is the ribbon, top of all Microsoft programs. If your ribbon ever gets minimized, all you have to do to open it up is just come over here to this little drop-down arrow, click it, and that will expand your ribbon. So that's a common issue with people. With email, To create an email, you can select new email. You can select new item email. You can select Windows in. There's a variety of ways to create an email. This would be same in every tab. So as you move to other tabs, whatever's top left will essentially be create new. Okay, so real quick here, Paul sent this email, and we'll use this as a bit of a test email to show you guys some things. I want to talk about reply, reply all, and forward, just for anybody who's not familiar with it. Reply goes direct to the person that sent the email. Reply all goes to everybody included in the email. Be very careful when hitting reply all. And then forward is, of course, if you want to forward the email to a specific person. Now, occasionally you'll be on the phone with somebody and they're sending you an email and you'll say, give me 1 second, I'll check on that email. And you're just sitting there waiting. If you would like to force your email to sync, there is a way to do that. All you have to do is go up here to the top to the Send and Receive tab. Under the Send and Receive tab, simply hit the Send and Receive button right there. Down right here in the bottom where it says Folder Up to Date, if you are getting additional email, it'll start to say syncing down here, but this is a way to get that email just to kind of come to you a little bit quicker if you are waiting on an email. And also to verify, if you're waiting and they're saying, oh, I sent it 5 minutes ago, this is a good way just to essentially create a sync, and that way you know whether the email is there or not. Okay.
Can you show where the settings are for keeping attachments in reply and forwarded emails?
Yeah, I will. So I'm going to show you this 2 ways. I'm going to show you in a reply and in a new email. So I'm going to reply to this. And this is one thing I do not like about the new Outlook. Within the new Outlook, when you go to reply, it is not easy to find a place to attach and do those kind of things. They've hidden all those settings. It's up here in the ribbon. The easier way to get access when you need to attach something or do something like that is to pop out the message. Once you pop out the message, I'm going to minimize it a little bit. This is going to look like a new email with a ribbon at the top. And now you have all the things that you normally would, including attached file. The new version of Outlook will try to scan your computer, and if it's a file you recently saved, it will often just be right here. You can grab it, or you can go browse, and then navigate to anywhere your files may be. Within a new message, it's essentially going to look the same because we popped out the message. So attached file is right there. So I think what's messing up most people is they're going to reply to messages and they have hidden the ribbon within this view. As far as I can tell, there's no way to fix that. I haven't found one. I would believe that over time, enough people will probably complain about this. They'll change it. But for now, there's the workaround, which is just pop out the message. And then you have all your buttons, including attached file.
So mine already pops out. I didn't even know you. I would always have it pop out anyway. So maybe I set it that way. But a couple things. So one, what I was asking is to keep the attachment that's in the email you've received to stay with it. The other thing is you can drag an attachment from one email into the popped out window.
Yes.
If you're dragging it from a folder and your popped out email has been minimized, you have to drag it first down to the toolbar or whatever taskbar at the bottom, wait till it shows you your Outlook and your pop out, and then open up your pop out that way. So could you show everybody that? I'm not sure everybody knows that either.
So if there's an email with an attachment, this is one from Brian that everybody sent, we'll forward it. And you'll see that it has the attachments. What some people do, I think, or they might have issues here, is they reply. And in a reply, it's not going to include the attachments. So if you want to include the attachments, essentially the difference is just doing a forward instead of a reply. And then that will keep the attachments. And then what he's talking about is, I'm going to create a new email. You can click and drag from within an email, like this attachment, and bring it over to here and try to attach it. Where exactly you click and drag matters and all that kind of stuff. So what I would say, generally what I do, because if you click here, it doesn't work. Or sorry, if you drag to here, it doesn't work, but if you drag down here, it does. That's not very clear. So normally what I tell people is just do this method. Is that the most easiest method? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but it works every time. And then with dragging, it's basically coming down to what are you dragging from and what are you dragging to, and it's different in every case. So you might have to just play around a little bit. So for example, here, if you're dragging to here, nothing happens, whereas if you drag down here, it attaches. But with certain kind of files, it will sometimes not attach. It will just put right into the email like pictures, which is why I tend to do the drop down attach method, so it gets attached instead of inserted.
But that's only going to work if you have it saved somewhere on your desktop. If you're just
correct
dragging it from an email.
Your desktop, and then we can do it that way. What I want to talk about here is the difference between 2CC and BCC. And BCC is where I think some people aren't as familiar, because as you can see, it doesn't even appear by default. So we're going to go over here. Yep. Okay, so under options, you can go to BCC, and all that does is just add that line. On older versions of Outlook, it used to be a little drop-down tab you would click. So if you happen to have an an older version of Outlook, it may just be a little drop-down button that you press. 2 is, what we used to. 2. CC does the exact same thing from a technical standpoint as 2. It does no different. It just sends the email. The only difference is the recipient sees it as a CC. In general, this is meant as copy. So if you're not directly emailing somebody, you just want to keep them included, that kind of stuff. Now, blind carbon copy is what I want to talk about, which is what BCC is. The primary way that I would encourage you to use BCC is during emails to a lot of people, say an all staff email. So I'm going to go all staff here. The reason BCC is great for all staff is it's a blind copy. So whoever this goes to, the recipient can't see who all it went to. The reason this is helpful with mass emails is that no one can hit reply all back. So if I'm sending out an email to everyone and I want to make sure that you don't create, the email that everybody responds back to, say it's just a calendar invite or maybe an update of some kind, you can BCC, and everyone will receive the email, but they will not be able to reply all back. They will only be able to reply directly back to you. So they will still be able to email you back if they have any questions about the email you sent, but they won't be able to hit reply all and create that mass email issue. So that's kind of one of my little tips is if you're going to send a mass email, you're concerned about creating spam by all these reply alls, you can BCC whoever it is that you want to send, and each person will get the email, but no one will be able to hit reply all, and no one will be able to see who the email went to. And then the last thing I want to show you guys out of this area, there's one other thing in Outlook that causes a lot of issues. View. Okay, so I already have mine turned off. It's called Show Focused Inbox. I'm going to turn it on. By default, when you install Outlook, this is turned on. I tend to turn it off before users even get their computers, but I may forget, or for whatever reason, it may be turned on. What this does is it creates 2 inboxes, Focused and Other. This is Outlook's attempt to try to show you the important email and hide not spam, but lesser important emails in the other category. What generally happens is no one knows that other exists. They get emails and they can't find them because they're not in their spam and they're not in their inbox. So I recommend everybody just turn this off. The way you do it is you go into View, and the Show Focused Inbox is selected. You simply unselect it, and now you just have all in unread. So that's a very common thing that I've seen with a lot of people, especially if you have a new computer and you can't seem to find the email that's coming your way. That's probably what's going on.
I don't guess can tell us how to do the same thing on like our phones, iOS, because I've got, I have the inbox Focused and Other, but I don't see anything in settings on that. You wouldn't know how to do that, would you?
Off the top of my head, no, but I can figure it out. So after this, I will make a note to look at how that looks in iOS and Android, and then I can send an email out explaining it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. That'd be great.
Off the top of my head, remember, but I'm sure I can figure it out. Okay, so we're gonna look at the calendar tab real quick. This is much simpler as you'd expect. The main things to know are that you do have different views. I think most people, me included, tend to land on one and stay there, but you can switch between views. Same here with, if you want to create a new email here, it's new appointment or new meeting. The only thing I really wanted to note here is just required versus optional. This is very similar to To and CC. In practicality, these do the same thing. They send a calendar invite, but the recipient will see it as required or optional. It is a way for you to communicate to them, I need you at this meeting, or hey, here's a meeting going on, you can come if you'd like. So that's a way of doing that. The other thing that I would suggest, just based off what I've seen in BuildBlock, is to make sure to include a location. There's not a lot of locations in a lot of our meetings, so a lot of times people at the time of the meeting won't know where to meet. Now I'm going to show you, well, I'm not going to show you because I'm in the middle of an 8x8 meeting, but as you will see with this calendar invite, what I do is each of us have our own 8x8 link, meaning 8x8.com/mgen is basically what mine is. It's a dedicated link for me to have meetings at all times, and everybody that has an 8x8 phone has this as well. So you can always take that link and put it in location for any meetings when you're not sure when or where, or sorry, where you're going to meet. That way everybody has a place to hop on. I also recommend that if you're going to have a meeting, say in the conference room, maybe in notes, you drop your 8x8 link. And then at every meeting, if everyone's not there, I go ahead and open up 8x8, and that way anybody can hop in if they're remote or whatever else. Now let's look at the other tabs real quick. You have contacts, which Microsoft calls people. I don't actually manage any contacts out of here, but they work just like contacts. Same with tasks and to-dos. This works just like any task and to-do app you've ever heard of. This does have the ability to share tasks with others and things like that. It's not really anything we do at BuildBlock, but the functionality is there. And then again, same with notes. This is just a simple note functionality. You can do some basic sharing and those kinds of things, but I don't think anybody at BuildBlock really uses this functionality. Okay, let's talk about spam emails. So basically, I want to talk about what to do and then how to identify a spam email. So whenever you get a spam email, and I'm obviously not going to do these for real because they're good emails, but this is your button right here, report message. So anytime you have any concern about an email, you can report it as junk or report it as phishing, or alternatively, if you're in your spam folder and the message came into your spam and it shouldn't have been, you can say it's not junk. What I want to show you is also, you can of course do that here as well. You can right click and then junk, and the same things are right here. We'll get to the next tab here. So this is how I evaluate spam email. I get a lot of emails saying, is this spam or not? So I do a simple 2 out of 3 rule. Did I expect the email? Do I know who it's from? And does it seem weird? So did I expect to get the email? Am I expecting to get this bill? Am I expecting Habitat to tell me about the event coming up? Yes or no. Do I know who the person is? If it's someone I know, that in itself makes it a more trusted email, although they could be sending spam and they don't even know it. But that's, one step in the right direction over a complete fake person. And then lastly, does it just seem weird, right? You get these emails and they seem weird. If you get 2 out of the 3, report it. If you get 1 out of the 3 and you're still worried, report it. You're never really going to hurt anything by reporting an email. The worst thing that can happen is that our spam filters start to grab something that they're not. I can simply go in and whitelist. It's called whitelisting those. They'll come right back through. So never be worried about reporting emails. It's much better to report emails we shouldn't than to not be reporting emails. And this is also something that me as the IT guy, I can't do this. I don't have any tools to go into your email, see what you got, find the spam and report it. You have to report it yourself. And then the third thing to note is when you're reporting spam, the reason you want to do it this way versus slacking or emailing me is that I don't have any way of reporting the email. All I can do is maybe you could forward it to me and then I hit the button, because this is not reporting back to all local server. This is reporting to Microsoft. So everybody that uses Office 365, this is going into the same database, which is benefit to us because we don't get just our data, we get everybody's data on trying to find these spam emails and block them. So, okay.
Mike?
Yeah. Go ahead, whoever that is.
Will you also show people how to check and see what email address it's actually coming from?
Yeah,
like we'll get emails that say from Mike Garrett, but it's actually from user8@spam.com.
Yeah, so that's a great tip. So here's a pro tip on finding spam email. So if you have an email that looks funny and you want to try to investigate, is it weird? This is going to be a good email coming from Paul. But basically all you need to do is click on the who it appears to be from and double click that. And then what you're going to see in here is who it's actually from. So Paul Mihawk makes sense. This is all right. But I'm sorry, I didn't see who that was. But whoever was talking, what you will have is it might show, we've actually seen this. We had emails coming in as Brian Corder up here. But when you clicked on them, they were some weird spammy Gmail. So that is a good tip. Thank you, whoever said that. You know, if you're concerned and you want kind of a next level way of looking at the email, you can come in here and see who the actual email address is. And in general, if that email address isn't right, if it says one name and it's some other person's email address, that's almost always going to be spam. I would report it almost every single time. And if it's someone you know, you might give them a phone call and let them know, hey, I'm getting some weird email coming from you.
Hey, Mike, regarding the other one, like with the junk, if I right click one and, report junk, that blacklisted on my end right then and there, right?
So it kind of depends on what you're doing.
Okay.
So if you come up here and report, it's going to make the email pop out of it's going to go away. It's going to look like it got deleted and it's going to be reported. It's not responding. But it's not necessarily blacklisted because you're just reporting it as a possible junk. So Microsoft's going to take all that data, and if a bunch of other people report it, then be like, yeah, that's junk, and block it. Let's see if I can get this unlocked and I can show you.
I guess my thing is I get a lot of these, like World of Concrete. Would you like to buy the attendees list? Yeah. Screw it, send it to junk, and then you keep getting more. I just didn't know if that was repeats or if some more groups sending the same junky email.
So what you can do if you want to, hit the big red button and just block, is to do it via the right-click method. So come here to right-click, go down to junk, and this point you have actual specific options. So you can block the sender, meaning this specific email address. Never block is the alternative. This would be like if it ended up in spam but you didn't mean it to be. This will always let it go through. This does the same thing, but everything out their domain. So what that means is let's say we start working with a company, Build Concrete, let's call it. And Bob works over there. So it's Bob at buildconcrete.com. And Bob's email is getting flagged by spam. You can come here and hit never, and then everybody at buildconcrete.com, Bob, Sandy, Mike, whoever it is, all those emails will get whitelisted and always come through. So you can either come in and directly block, and then yes, that email is done and it's not going to come to your inbox anymore. Or alternatively, you can also let them through all the time. Does that answer everybody's questions relating to spam and those kind of things? Okay. Yep. Okay. I want to talk real quick about email signatures. Email signatures are fairly easy to do, but the challenge is they've hidden how to get to them. There's a way via settings to do it. It is not easy. So I'm going to show you kind of a backwards way, but it's the easiest way. The easiest way is simply to create a new email. We'll expand this out a little bit so we can see all the tabs. And then just go like you were going to add a signature, and there's right here, signatures. And now you're in your signature settings. So from here, you can create new ones. You can select which they apply to. So like you can have a different one for new messages versus replies. The way you may do that is, let's say that's my normal one. I could do, let's do MJ short. paste what I had in there and get rid of this. And my replies and forwards, I'm going to set to that. Okay, so you have a new email and you can see it has my whole title. Oop. But if I was to come in and reply to an email, it would have my short one. So that's the easy way to do signatures. You can get to it via file and somewhere in here, I don't even remember where, but it is much easier just to go into an email and then you have signatures. Okay. Away messages. So you won't have to do these often, but when you go on vacation and you want to do an away message, you do need to go into the proper settings part of Outlook to do that. So you go File, and then Automatic Replies, and you simply set it here. So you turn it on. You can set the date at which it's going to be, and you set the message. The other thing you can do here is internal and out. So internally, most everyone's going to know you're out. You might just do a quick, I'm on vacation, thanks. Whereas the external one, I'm on vacation. If you need help, please contact this person, et cetera, et cetera. Or you can do the same for both, completely up to you. You can set the date for the end of your vacation, and it will just turn off automatically, or you can always come back in here and just manually turn it off when you're back. Okay. Now let's go into rules. As I said earlier, there's a million different ways to do rules within Outlook. There's tabs up here and all sorts of things. I'm going to show you one way of doing it in case you've never created a rule, and then you can experiment with that. And then once you've created a few, it'll become apparent kind of how to do all the different ones. So let's do this email from, let's see here, this Amazon email. Let's say that every time I get an email from Amazon for whatever reason, my manager Isaiah needs it too. So you're going to right click, rules, and create rule. Now at this point, you can do anything you want. I'm going to do essentially what I described. So I want emails from Amazon. You could also further that down with things in the subject or sent to certain people. And then you can have it do certain things. So I'm going to have it say move to a folder, etc. So you can select the folder. Let's do AT&T. Select OK. You've now created a rule. Every time an email comes in from Amazon, it's going to say, hey, it's from Amazon, move it to this folder. Under advanced options is where you can start getting into forwarding and all the different things. But basically, that's essentially how you create a basic rule of any kind, is wait for an email of that kind to come in, right-click, rules, create a rule. And that will automatically do a lot of the hard part by like detecting who it's from and things like that, that you can then just say, do this with it. Okay. Any questions about rules? Now, I know there's a bunch to rules, but beyond the basics, any questions? Okay. So what did we cover today? We went over the basics of how to navigate Outlook. We went over spam and phishing, what to do, how to report a message. Always report the message. Don't worry about it. Like I said, worst case scenario, you report a message you shouldn't have, we can 100% fix it. What I can't do is report messages for you. So always be reporting messages. Email signatures, we talked about how to set up and edit those. Same with vacation and away messages. And then the same with creating a quick forwarding rule. So with that, I'm just going to open it up to, does anybody have any Outlook questions that I didn't address?
I was going to ask Mike.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how to recall an email that I sent?
Mike, you're on mute now.
Sorry, was the question how to recall an email?
Yes.
the short answer is you cannot. I don't believe that BuildBlock has the mechanism in place to do that. If they do, anybody can correct me, but I don't believe we have that set up. That's kind of a whole.
It's in there. I think I've done it before, but it depends on who you send it to and how long it's been since you've sent it.
Yeah.
So I've successfully recalled emails before.
The way recalling works is that when you send, even though you sent it, we just hold it for like a period of time before we send it, and that gives you time to recall it. Once an email sent, it's like the mail, it's gone. What you can do is that there is a functionality where you can, and you probably have seen this before, you get the email that says, hey, I'd like to pull this email back. But they can just say no, and they've got the email. So the long and short of it is recalling emails doesn't really exist. You need to operate as if it doesn't, because I don't want anybody thinking that I can send an email, oh God, I can get it back. Probably we can't. There may be a way, but you should operate off the understanding that we cannot recall emails. Now I'll look into that some more, but in general, operate as if we can.
And then I maybe need you to address something, but let me poll the sales team first. Does anybody group their emails by conversations on the sales team anymore?
I do not.
Okay, Jake, you don't?
No, I don't. No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I definitely don't want anybody doing that on sales team. We had a really big snafu with emails that were getting grouped with an email that was in a deleted folder before they got read, and we troubleshot the whole thing, and that's what the problem was. So I don't like that. I definitely hate it on my phone when I have to use Outlook on the phone, but I don't want them to use that. And also, and I've been over this with sales too, I don't want you guys using e-signatures unless it's just like your name and phone number. Our first emails are generally, sent from templates, and you can have one there. But with the logos and all that, it just clutters up an email thread, makes it harder for people to scroll through and find things. So I do want your name and your phone number on email, so it's easy for people to click and call you back from their phone on every email. Make sure your phone number's there, but I don't want like a big long drawn out thing with the BuildBlock logo and a fax number and an address and all that stuff, and a picture. Definitely don't put a picture up.
Yeah, definitely crowds it up.
So
Yeah.
was that thing you just discussed, was that what you kind of had a question about?
Yeah, mainly, yeah. We had this issue. Eric, who's a much more advanced user at Outlook, was using conversation grouping. And I had turned mine off on my phone finally because it was such a struggle to find things when I was like driving down the road and needed something when I was out of here. And then in his case, we lost 3 POs and had to go backdate them. And we searched and searched when we had conversations on, and we went to the deleted folder. We did everything. And until we turned it off, we couldn't find them at all. We spent like 2 hours on this.
This is a different thing, but what I showed you guys about the hidden inbox thing, the focused inbox, is literally will present the exact same way, where an email exists, but you just can't find it. So I totally hear what you're saying. Outlook is trying to sort and order things to show you what you want the most, but often it's just hiding what you're trying to find.
Yeah, so I'm not too into the rules just because it makes me fearful. We kind of, my thing is we work our inbox. I try not to delete anything that may need to come back, like definitely responses which now I'll avoid by using that BCC if I'm sending to a group, so I don't get 4 people saying, yes, sir, sounds good, or whatever. At least everybody else won't get them. I might get them. But the one thing I would say is I have a remote or a virtual machine that I use throughout the day, and then I have my laptop version. Mm-hmm. My Outlook looks different in the two. And in this version here, what I don't see is I do a lot of what we do. I train on searching, and we try to keep formatting on subjects, and a lot of stuff we repetitively do where we can search those things later.
Yeah.
So search is a huge thing, and I don't even see your search window where yours says unread, read by date. Like that's usually where I see there's a field there for search, but yours is up at the top there. Is that just how it's set up in this version, or what?
Yeah, it's they like to move it in every version, and we have different people using different versions. I would like everybody to be on the same version, but that's not how we're set up currently. So there will be some variance between exactly where things are from version to version. Eventually, I will get everybody on the same version, and then when I'm teaching, you'll see the exact same thing as me. But for now, we'll just have to know that sometimes there'll be little variances between what I show you and what exactly.
And then there's no there's nothing at the top of your inbox there at the very top. It says like today, unread date. You know, mine would have different sections to sort by where I can sort by clicking, which would include categories, which I use, dates, names. I think those are the only 3 that I use, but yours doesn't have anything there.
Yeah, probably because I've never tried to use Outlook in that fashion. That's
okay. Yeah, we use the flags and the category boxes to indicate what emails are about and sort them in that way. So
that's something I would have to see because like that I've never tried to use Outlook that way. A lot of that stuff I've found to be kind of clunkier for me, so I've always just ignored it and just tried to use Outlook in like the most basic way. That way it just does what it does well, and as everybody knows, it's like the more you try to get Outlook to do, the more it'll lock up. And I mean, yeah, I saw while I was training it locked up. So I try to keep my Outlook running pretty light. All right, everybody. I'm going to say I have to get going. I just got a text that my daughter needs to be picked up from school, so I got to go do that. But what I'm going to say is, if anybody else has any specific questions, and like if your Outlook looks different or something, just send in a ticket to me, and I'm happy to like look at your Outlook and then explain like this is what I had, this is what you have, here's how you do it your way. I know most of the versions of Outlook, it's just hard to off the top of my head remember, but if I could look at it, I can probably teach you exactly how to do anything. So if there's anything you saw today and you're like, I don't understand how to do that on my computer, just send a ticket in, and early next week I'll show you guys how to do that.
Well, good.
Everyone, I appreciate you coming, and I hope this was helpful. I'm going to continue to do these, and if you have topics you want covered, just let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.